Welcome to Talking About Real Estate, where we discuss the real deal of buying and selling a home, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. My name is Michelle Towers. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and I'm sharing what you need to know about buying and selling to help move you toward better living. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Talking About Real Estate with Michelle Towers. Guess what? I'm Michelle Towers. I wanted to talk to you today about something really important. If you're a first-time home buyer, or if you've bought a house before, but maybe it's been a long time since you went through the whole process, do you know what the first things are that you need to do in order to be prepared to go out and buy a house? There's a lot involved. Buying a house is so exciting for one thing. That's why I just love my job. It's one of the biggest and most important things you're ever going to do in your life. You know, next to getting married and having children and that sort of thing, buying a home is just one of the most top things on your list of what you're going to do. So before you go out there and say, I just want to go out and buy a home, there are some very important things that you got to consider before we get started. So I wanted to go over 5 things that you need to do to help prepare yourself for buying a home. So the first thing is you got to get pre-approved. I know that's like not the fun part, is it? Nobody, it's really not fun. But the thing is, it's absolutely necessary because unless you're like a handful of people who can pay cash for a house, you're going to have to get a loan. So you're going to have to go to a lender and find out how much you are approved for. So because really you want to start there before you do anything else. One of the saddest things that happens is, and I learned this in my early years of real estate, I don't allow it to happen now, but when someone comes out and we go start looking at houses and they fall in love with this house, they're like, this is the perfect house for me. I love it. And then they go to the lender and they find out that it's outside of their price range. And now they're heartbroken, they're sad, and they can't get what they really wanted. So it's so important to the first thing is go to a lender, find out what you're approved for. And, and there's a lot of things that are going to factor into that. It's going to be your credit score, your debt to income ratio, all of those numbers that, thank goodness I have good lenders to work with to can help with those things. But it's really important that you're going to know what that number is and what you're comfortable with, because they may tell you that, oh, you can afford up to this much, but you may realize, well, just because they approve me for this much a monthly payment, do I really want to pay that much for a home? Is it something that you're comfortable putting money out for every single month? So that's why it's really, really important to first start with the lender, get pre-approved, and find out how much house can you afford to buy comfortably. And so I also have really good lenders that I work with too, and we'll talk about that some more in a little bit. So what's the second thing that we need to prepare for to buy a home? This is one of my favorite ones. It's setting realistic expectations. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite channels is HGTV. I love watching HGTV, House Hunters, and all those other shows. When I'm not yelling at the show saying, that's not how it really works. That's not how it really works. And we have to remember, HGTV is television. It's entertainment. So everything about that is not, we know that, everything about that we see on there is not necessarily real or accurate or true. But sometimes what we do is we look at that and we think, oh, I can get a home just like that. Or, so maybe they're buying a house in a different state and the homes are just like so much less expensive than they are, say, here in Colorado. And so we think we can go out and just get a home like we see on HGTV that's totally fixed up, it's updated, everything is good. But if you've been out at all and you've seen how our market is, and we'll talk about that another day, that that's not necessarily the case. So setting realistic expectations is very important. There's 2 different factors to that. First, it's recognizing what you can afford in your price range. So let's say you want a 4-bedroom house, you want something that's about 3,000 square feet, you want it to be close to downtown, we have to recognize that a $400,000 budget is probably not going to get you that. In fact, I can tell you a $400,000 budget won't get you that, not in a nicely updated home. So it's a matter of, okay, what am I going to compromise on that? Or is it really important that I'm downtown or close to downtown? Or is it more important that I have these other factors? And that's really the second part of having realistic expectations, is being willing to compromise on certain things. I like to give my clients the 80-20 rule, that if you have a list of all the things that you want, and some things are really important, and then they're high priority. Let's say I've got to have 3 bedrooms, and I really do want to be close to work, because it just takes too much time to drive in this traffic. If those are priorities, then that's what we're going to look for as far as what's most important to you. Now, does it have a 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage? If that's not as important to you, then we'll put that down as a secondary or a third, maybe on the third level of what's most important. But it's realizing that, really understanding what's most important to you, and we're going to focus on those things. And hopefully we can throw in some of those extra goodies as much as possible along the way. But I like to say, if you get 80% of what's on your list, you are doing fantastically. If we can find 80% of what's on your list, I say, let's get it. So that's the second thing you need to do to prepare to buy a home, is to set realistic expectations. The third one is to put together your dream team. It is really important to have the right people around you when you're preparing to buy a home, or when you're in the process of buying a home. First, you've got to find a real estate agent that you trust. I think you found her. And someone who's knowledgeable in the market, someone who's going to tell you the truth, someone who's going to explain what's happening, somebody who's going to go and fight for you and stand up for you and do their very best to help you out. You also are, like I said, unless you have that rich relative who's going to give you cash for the home, you're going to need a good lender as well. And there are a lot of good lenders out there. I have a couple of lenders that I just love to work with, and they really know what they're doing. But the lender is a very, very important role here, because they're the ones who are going to help you to get approved and make sure that the funds are there so that you can buy the home. So, and I would say for those two, it's just really important to make sure that you've got people who have experience, who know how to walk you through the process, and who can just help you to get through any hurdles that might come up. Now, some other people who might be on your team are also, let's say, an inspector, someone who's going to do an inspection on you, on your home, when you find the one that you want and you get under contract. We're going to need an inspector to come out and take a look at everything, make sure all the major components of the house are operating properly, that sort of thing. You also are going to probably need a handyman, because there are things that your new home is going to need some fixing. We're going to need a roofer, somebody who can get up on the roof and say, oh yeah, this roof is in pretty good shape, or well, we need to look at this. And these are all things that are, part of the negotiation process as you're buying a house. But it's important to put together this whole team of people who are going to be on your team and who are going to work for you and who are going to communicate with you. It's like a well-oiled machine when you have all these people together who know what they're doing, who are experienced at it, and they're all focused on helping you to get a really good outcome. So that's number 3. Make sure that you have a great team wrapped around you. I can help you to do that. I have all of these people who I consider to be wonderful people on my team, and we can all be there to help you when you're ready to buy a house. So what's the fourth thing that is important to prepare for buying a house? You have to have the funds that you need. So we all are aware, like I said, unless you've got that rich uncle who's bringing that money, you're going to have to get the loan. And there are different components involved in that. So you're going to have down payment money. You're going to have money for closing costs. When you do the inspection, the buyer is going to be the one you're going to be the one as a buyer to pay for that inspection. So you're going to have to be prepared right there on the spot to pay your inspector for the work that he does. There's also going to be an appraiser who's going to determine the value of the home that you're buying. That appraiser is going to need to get paid. So these are all different type of expenses that are involved in buying a house. So it's just really important to make sure that you've got the funds that you need before you start. And a lot of these are expenses that your lender is going to be able to help you with, to say, this is how much you're going to need here, this is how much you're going to need there. And just to make sure that you are prepared in advance, because we don't want to get out there and get started and find out that we're short or anything like that. So that's number 4, is to make sure that you have all the funds that you need in place. And the last one, which I think a lot of people don't think about, is to create space in your life to do this whole thing. It's very, buying a home is, like I said, it's one of the most important things you're going to do. And it does take time. And it can be a really fun process. I think it's just a really fun process to go through it. But we have to make time in our lives to be able to do it. We're going to have time to go out and look at homes. That takes time in itself, to just go search for the home that's right for you. Once you find that home and you're under contract, there's going to be some time that you're going to need to take to have the home inspected. Usually an inspection takes 4 hours, maybe give or take an hour, depending on the size of the home. So it takes a little bit of time to have an inspector come and check out the home. And trust me, you want to be there if at all possible. You need to be at that inspection, because that's where all the fun stuff happens. This is where you get to like go into that home and check out the bones. If you have a good inspector, he's going to show you how things work, and what's going on with the furnace. How old do you think that furnace is? Oh, okay. We're good for a few years. An important thing is to know where your water shutoff valve is. Boy, I'll tell you. Let me tell you about a story. When we moved into this house 9 years ago, we bought the house, and this was before I was a real estate agent. I didn't know any better, but we had the inspector come over. Actually, it was an inspector who was recommended to us. I don't think he did a really good job. I'm glad I have good inspectors now. But no one showed us where the water shutoff valve was. So here we are. We had moved into the house. Everything was all, just going crazy all over the house. We had boxes everywhere. I was exhausted, so I went and got my nails done for an hour. I left my husband home alone. Don't leave your husband home alone. But we had some work that was being done. We had this indoor fountain in our house. It was crazy. It was right in the center of the living room, running water and everything. And I told my husband right away, day one, that fountain has to go. It's just got to go. There's no place for it. And so we had some people over, some contractors, and coming over to just demolish this fountain so we could put the floor in. I left for an hour. Someone, while I was gone, one of the contractors whacked the fountain and broke the water line. And apparently there was water just spewing all over the house. They were running, according to my husband, they were running around like, where's the water shut off? Where's the water shut off? George had no idea where it was because the inspector didn't show him where it was. So they ended up having to go outside into the front yard to the main water line to shut that water line off to spare it. So here I come thinking, after an hour or so of having some relaxation, getting my nails done, and I come back and the whole living room area is just soaking wet. But anyway, I digress with that. But I just tell you that to say how important it is to be at that inspection. Then the inspector is going to show you all these little things about your house, your new house, that you're going to want to know, like where the water shutoff valve is. So you're also going to need time to read all the documents. Back to what you need to be prepared for is in creating space in your life. There's a lot of documents involved in this. You're going to have HOA documents you've got to look over. You're going to have title documents that you've got to look over, amendments and the contracts, all sorts of things. And so you're going to have to be able to make space in your life to be able to take the time to go over these documents. And just by the way, I help you with all of these too. Reading some of it, some can be a lot of jargon sometimes, but we have a great team that can help you to work through all of that. But it is going to take some time to go through those things so that you know what you're signing. Also, you're going to need time to pack. It takes time to move. Closing day. Here's one little thing I want to tell you. I've had clients who just like they're like, okay, I can go sign the closing papers at lunchtime, over lunchtime. It's and then I have to go back to work. If at all possible, I suggest that you just take the whole day off. You are buying a house, for Pete's sake. You're buying a house. This is like a huge day. I believe that it's a day of celebration. If at all possible, plan to take the whole day off because it's such a celebratory day that you may want to get up and go have breakfast. You got to finish your packing, then you go sign the papers, and then you can celebrate and go over to your house and start enjoying yourself. So it's just a really fabulous day. Closing day is like one of my favorite days ever, because it just shows all of the success that you have had, and it is definitely a day to celebrate. So those are the things that I think that will really help you to be prepared to buy a house. So the first one again is to get pre-approved. The second one, set realistic expectations. Know what you're able to do. Know what you're able to get and what you're not going to be able to get. Put together a dream team that's going to help you to get to the finish line with as much ease as possible. And make sure you have all of the money and the resources that you're going to need to get from start to finish. And then just create the space. Maybe say, you just recognize, I'm not going to be able to watch all these TV shows right now, or I'm going to have to just kind of put off having dinner with my friends for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, and so that I can get through this. Create that space. If you do these things, you're going to find you're going to be ready to go. You're going to be in a position where you're going to be excited and prepared to find that new home, to get the job done. And to next thing you know, you're going to be in your new home looking around saying, wow, I just did it. This is fabulous. So I hope this is helpful to you guys. And if you need any help with any of this, know that I am here for you. This is what I'm here for. We're here to talk about real estate, and I am here to help in any way. So let me know if you have any questions. Give me some comments and let me know what you think about these 5 steps. Have a good one.